That's Making Love in a Hot Air Balloon by the French artist Garage, who is now, as many of you know, living in Brazil. I love that song because from time to time, I kind of feel like I'm a hyperdimensional whale that's managed to beach itself on the shores of the material universe. You know what I mean? Those moments when you look back at huge parts of your life, at chapters in your incarnation, and realize that what at the time you thought was some kind of autonomous display of your brilliance was in fact no different than the sad dance you see in cowboy movies when a bandit starts blasting bullets at the cowboy boot-clad feet of a cowboy. You know that thing where you dance, and you shoot at them and they dance? That horrible thing? Only in this case, it wasn't a bandit that was shooting at your feet. It was your fear. Some imaginary phantasmal idea that you'd gotten in your head about what was dangerous in the world. But instead of looking that fear right in the eyes, you did what I did, which is you figured out the most ridiculous way to transform your cowardice into virtue. You imagined that because you were so terrified of the world that there was something wrong with the world. In other words, you were completely nuts. And in my life, I've sought out many antidotes for these fear moments. I've tried to be selfish. That doesn't work. I've tried to masturbate while on MDMA. I've received blowjobs on ketamine while playing God of War, and gone to a variety of music festivals. And in fact, I have been banged down in hot air balloons over the beautiful French countryside in the south of France, over wine country. I've felt what it's like to have a French balloon pilot banging me and whispering verses from the Course in Miracles in my ear. But nothing really helped. I always felt like I just didn't quite fit in here until I was lucky enough to spawn. I had a beautiful child. And now in my old age, I've come to the rather embarrassing, obvious, and most certainly boring in italics in impact font realization that the pathway to true psychedelic happiness is not from getting banged down by a beautiful French balloon pilot. It's not from hedonism. It's not from attempting to dissolve into a never-ending K-hole, but rather something as simple as cooking pancakes for my toddler. Something as simple as that somehow transcends all the psychedelic moments I've ever had in my life. I don't know what that is. It gives me the feeling that when Ram Dass and all the teachers refer to the dimension that we're in as some kind of school, then we're in elementary school. Like we're learning just the basics of how to navigate the eternal infinite multiverse. And I feel lucky that I have been exposed to some of those ideas, which can get rather complex. But I think if you look at the nucleus of the damn thing, it's just help people. Basic. Basic. That's where we're at right now. Basic. But basic is beautiful and perfect. It's some kind of elemental truth. And so I find myself really inspired by the conversation I had today with today's guest, Ethan, because here you are going to encounter an actual servant, somebody who in potentially their last few months of human existence wants to help, wants to serve, but someone who didn't just have some epiphany towards the potential end of their lives, but someone who's been doing it for a long time. I met him at a Ram Dass retreat, and I guess a couple of months ago, he reached out to me and said he would love to appear on the podcast because if the Western doctors are correct, and quite often they're not, he might not be in the material universe that much longer. And he wanted to use the DTFH as a medium through which to communicate some aspects of his philosophy, which I find to be quite beautiful. Today's guest is Ethan Sisser. We're going to jump right into that. But first, this.